All right then, hello guys, and welcome to my channel. It is a new channel. We're just launching it, as it were. The channel is called That Clergy Farmer. That Clergy Farmer. So this channel is actually going to focus on a number of issues concerning relationships, issues concerning health and fitness. We are going to be talking about financial literacy, basically finance and investment, and a number of issues, and actually we are also going to be talking about personal development and self-care. So we have a number of issues that we are actually going to be tackling on this channel as we go on. So I'd like you to invite every other person that you know, every person that is interested in relationship issues, every person that is interested in health and fitness, every person interested in personal development and self-care, and people that are interested in financial literacy, as it were. I'd like you to invite them over to this channel, and I'd like you to subscribe also. Would be very grateful if you did that. Invite every person that you can to this channel. Let them come over if they're interested in relationships, if they're interested in self-development and personal development and self-care, if they're interested in financial literacy, basically concerning finance and investment, if they're interested in health and fitness, and generally relationships. Let them come over here, and we should have something for every person that is looking in that direction. And in order for you to always be ready and always know when we do this, would ask you actually to click that notification button, so that as soon as we post something, you'll be the first to know, and you'll be able to come over and see exactly what we have prepared for you on that particular day. Having said that, I would like to welcome you, and I would like to welcome you with one first topic that I would like to start with. I would like us to look at this issue that everybody talks about, and this controversial issue, as it were, the respect for a man and the love for a woman. Isn't this a topic that every person is talking about? Well, let's try to, let me give you my 2 cents on it. The question that I would like to put up first of all is that, should women respect men? And should men love their women? I think the second question is almost self-explanatory. Everybody knows that a man is supposed to love a woman, even if it were not said in the Bible. I think it has just become natural, especially according to our culture. World culture generally, as it is, it's an accepted thing globally that a man should love a woman, but the controversy actually comes in with respect. Should a woman respect a man, especially unconditionally? And I think that's where the issue is, and that's where the issue is, and that's where the problem is, because now people keep struggling over that one. First of all, the most important thing to understand is most women that actually argue about it, or most women that actually do it, don't even know what respect is. I would tell you, and I would give it to you, that most women, as far as they go, respect their men in these homes and in these relationships that they have, because their understanding of respect of a man is most of the time, well, more often than not, different from how a man defines respect. So I think the most important thing is, first of all, to understand that respect is diverse according to who wants it and who's given it. Even though men want respect, and men define respect, and men talk about respect and actually push for respect, they look at respect differently. I think what I would look at as respect from my point of view is probably different from what another man would look at as respect from their point of view. Why? Because we are raised differently, and our values are different. How we understand love and how we understand respect is also different. So that's the reason why most of the time you see these people defining respect this way. Somebody can come to me and tell me, she doesn't respect me, she doesn't do this. And when she tells me what she does for him, or what she doesn't do for him, or how she handles him, I would look at it and think, I think that would be respect to me. But then I won't judge judge the other person based on what they think, because maybe their definition of respect is actually different from mine. And so what do I do in that case? I'll have to understand exactly what respect is for them and exactly what respect means to them. And so when you look at those issues, then you understand that the definition of respect cannot be one compound definition. It's actually according to how people carry themselves along. So when you're in a relationship, the first and most important thing that you need to understand is what is love to my woman and what is respect to my man. Because to some women, love is basically gifts. If you can give them roses, if you can give them chocolate, if you can give them money, if you can give them these goodies that they actually love, to them is love. It shows that you appreciate them and it shows that you love them. To other women, that doesn't matter. To other women, it's affection, it's being available, it's quality time, it's always cherishing them, telling them these beautiful things and whatever. They won't mind even if money was not there and given to them, as long as they felt appreciated, they felt a little more loved to them. It is love. Same goes for respect. Some men in our African culture, for example, in the African culture, you're going to discover that kneeling before a man is respect. But right within Africa, there are men who don't look at respect from that point of view, because if a woman can kneel before you and then insult you to your face, I think it actually redefines the meaning of respect. So what happens is that as you're living in your home, you define respect differently. You define love differently. How do you do that? You do that by beginning to understand the person that you're with. You know what they love, you know what they fancy, you know what they don't love, you know what triggers them, you know what gets to them so quickly, you know what makes them happy, you know what their definition of respect is and what their definition of love is by how you carry each other. And more importantly, by paying attention to what they say and what they do. Because in a relationship, if you're not open enough to tell your partner what they need to know, they will never know. The problem that we have in relationship mostly is because we work on assumption. You work on assuming that the person will know what you're thinking, and more oftentimes than not, it's been said that people are not mind readers. It's not just men, it's also women. If you want something, you ask for it. A person is not going to know you're thirsty just because you've walked a distance or just because you've moved a distance. A person is going to know you're thirsty when you tell them that you need a glass of water. So you can't just assume and say, well, you saw me sitting here, why don't you bring me a glass of water? I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know what you've been doing. I don't know how you live. Maybe you're not thirsty. Maybe you need juice. Maybe you need some drink of some sorts. Maybe you need water, but you haven't made it clear. So in that instance, you begin to understand what this person loves, and you begin to know, oh, this is what they need. If we do not communicate, then we are going to have certain expectations unmet, and we are going to be frustrated about expectations that we did not relay to our partners. So what happens when that goes on? It simply means that now you are going to be agitated, you're going to be irritated over somebody for not knowing something that you actually never communicated. Why? Because you assumed they were supposed to know. You expected them to know, but the only way you can be sure that they're going to know exactly what it is that you are thinking or what it is that you want is if you communicate with them. So that's why when they talk about communication, people usually take it surfacely and think that communication is actually basically a person talking about how you hurt them, how they're disappointed about something, how this is painful. I don't like the way you talked to me in the morning. I didn't like the way you handled me last night. I didn't like the things that you say to me in the presence of your relatives. I didn't like it when you came out like that and whatever. People think that's communication. No, most of the time that actually, even though is talking to someone, is not communicating. It's basically trying to bring out and vent your frustrations. And most of the time people look at communication from that point of view. But mostly communication is actually to make the other person understand your emotions, understand where you are, understand what you're feeling, understand what your needs are, which they would never know had you not told them. So let people be clear about what you want. Let people know what it is that you're looking for. Let people know what it is that you're asking for without you having to make them guess or just come and assume that they would actually know. No, she should know that when I get in the house, I needed some water to drink. She should know that when I get in the house, I needed a welcome, I needed a hug and whatever. Yeah, it may be natural for you because basically that's what you saw growing up, or that's what you saw your mother do to your father. But you can't assume that that was done in every home. Maybe she's coming from a broken home where she never saw that. Maybe she came from a bad marriage where her parents never had time for those things. So you can't assume she knows without you having to teach her. And the biggest problem that we have, especially with ladies also, is that you assume that the way your mother respected your father is actually what respect is, or the way you saw a man or a woman that raised you up, or in the kind of environment that you were raised in, that's what you come and assume and think that's exactly what respect is. But you need to take time to find out what respect is from your man's perspective. What is respect? Maybe it's the way you respond to them. Maybe it's the way you talk to them. Maybe it's the way you carry yourself. Maybe it's the way you handle issues with them. Maybe it's the way you never put them first when an issue comes, because there are women who are driven. So when there's a problem, they handle that problem out and then come over and tell their men, well, there was this problem and challenge that I was experiencing, but hey, don't worry, babe, I have already handled this and got this. And a man feels left out and sometimes emasculated. Why? Because this is something for them that they would have loved to come out as Superman over and show you that this is something I can handle. But you didn't know that he's the kind of man that wants to handle business. So what happens? You handle that business. Why? Because that's what you've always done. Especially women that have been single for a very long time. They got so comfortable doing things for themselves, they forget they now have a man who needs to handle business, and they end up handling business. And in trying to do a good thing that they have actually become accustomed to doing, this person now becomes agitated over it. So you couldn't tell me this is what was going on. So you couldn't make it clear to me that this is what was happening. And people would complain about it. Why would they complain? Because they feel left out or they feel overlooked. And so once you begin to understand that, okay, whatever little thing it is, I need to hold my horses here and understand that I have a man in my life and maybe he wants to handle business on my behalf. Because now the man begins to think, the more you do that, the man begins to think, wow, I think she wants to handle this. So what does the man do? He withdraws and tells himself, well, if you think you can handle business, you handle business. But what he doesn't understand is that you are coming from a background where you have always been comfortable handling your own business. So what happens? This man now begins to learn slowly, especially if you teach him. Let him know, well, the reason why I'm doing this is, look, babe, this is how long I've been single. This is how long I've probably been with an irresponsible man who will let me do whatever it is that I needed to do. So I'm kind of used to doing this thing. Then slowly you begin to learn, don't worry about this, babe. Now I got this. I'm here now. This is my business. I'm going to handle this for you. 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 And to him, when you come over to him and tell him, babe, I have a flat tire. What am I going to do? It's respect for him than for you coming over to him. You won't believe it, babe. I had this flat tire, so I had to call this guy and whatever. It took long coming. So, he found me, whatever. And finally, at least he managed to help me with the tire. The guy is going to be thinking, where was I? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you let me know you had a crisis? So I could come over as Clark Kent and come over and help you out with this thing. So slowly you begin to understand what respect is, and you begin to understand what love is. I think basically at the end of the day, the only thing that's important when you're dealing with love and respect is understanding what love means to the person that you're with, because what love means to the person that you're with may be different from what love means to somebody else. And what love means and what respect means to your husband or your boyfriend or your friend or whoever it is that you're with in a relationship may not be the same definition of respect that they could have. So how do you know that? You have to learn to communicate. Sit down with them. Talk to them about these issues. Let them understand where exactly it is that you're coming from. Well, that's basically just, just a snippet on what we'll be talking about, and I thought that we should start with this topic and talk about this issue. The issue of love and respect is actually very, very in-depth, and so we will talk more about it. We will refer to it more, especially if it's requested, and especially if you have people that bring in those questions in the comments, so just let me know what you think about this in the comments, and let me know what your perception of love and what your understanding of relationships and all these things is all about, so that as we continue, we will be able to understand each other and teach each other and continue learning just like that. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time on That Clergy Farmer. So that was my 2 cents, but then what do I know? I'm just a clergy farmer.